This is the testimony of Tiffany Faye Peterson, posted on Walkaway Campaign Group page on Facebook. Hello to all my fellow patriots, my name is Tiffany Peterson. I was born and raised in Salt Lake City, Utah, and up until April of 2020, I was a hardcore liberal. As a matter of fact, I have never voted Republican because I truly believe the Democrat Party stood for the people. I wholeheartedly supported Obama and Hillary and was devastated when Trump was elected in 2016. When the Democrats began blaming Trump for the lack of his COVID response and I blindly followed with their blame game, a very respected Republican co-worker of mine noticed my response and kindly asked that I do some research before falling for the Democrats' blame game and or victim mentality. Of course I laughed and shrugged him off. I want to add the fact that we have worked together for 10 plus years and he has never placed judgment in response to my political choices, opinions and has always respected my views. I spent a few more weeks in denial because I was taught resort to twist and manipulate situations. Much like Pelosi's anti-racism words from her trip Chinatown in February, justifying Biden's tweets about the border closure to China and Fauci's face mask, flip-flop scenario. I was taught that, orange man bad, the typical, Trump says to inject yourself with disinfectants mentality. Luckily, I just so happened to watch Trump's briefing in regards to the disinfectant comment. This was the very first time I watched Trump speak, and what I saw the next morning was an absolute overreach and not to mention a complete exaggeration of what really had happened. With that being said, I did what many would do. I told the truth because I knew that Trump did not tell people to inject themselves with household cleaners. This was the day I began my walk-away journey. A friend and a family member, 2 posts I commented on, immediately began attacking me. I was called names, I was sent DMs by people I didn't even know, and the worst part, they began attacking my sexuality because if I supported Trump, I turned my back on the LGBTQ community. I was appalled because I knew this wasn't the case because I fully support my community. So, I continued to watch Trump's daily briefings and began to notice a surprising trend. A trend of lies, twists and manipulation from the MSM and the Democrats. After a few weeks of watching the MSM chaos, doing my own research and thinking for myself, it was clear that I would be voting for Trump in 2020. Last month I purchased a Trump 2020 hat. The hat is red and white, Trump is stitched with blue and with white stars and the 2020 is red and white, like the stripes on the flag. Last month while riding my motorcycle, I had the hat strapped to my bag and nearly ended up in a ditch. Unfortunately, an individual decided my life was worth playing and decided to speed around me, flipped me off, called me a Trumptard as they passed and decided to cut me off and slam on their brakes. When I finally decided to come out, walk away, and announced my flip on Facebook, I lost a handful of friends and a couple family members. My post received a series of death threats, insulting comments and I was called a pedophile, a homophobe and a racist. These are just a few reasons that solidify my reasons for walk away, but I wanted to share my story with you. As many are aware, coming out as gay, bisexual, I am openly bisexual, can be extremely difficult, but from my experience, telling the world I supported President Trump is harder than I can put into words. However, at the end of the day and with all said and done, I am proud to say that I have found a sense of clarity and passion. I am proud of my choice and I refuse to be told otherwise. I am confident, educated and happy. I have gained self-respect, a strong sense of self-awareness and I am at peace with my decision. I am no longer a victim or a charity case for the Democrats. Yes, I lost friendships, but in turn, I have gained so many new friendships. My gain outweighs my loss, by far.
Reading from a post from Eric Garcia, on the Walkaway Campaign Group page on Facebook. My walkaway came 2 years ago. I come from a hard-working family of immigrants who came here to have a better life. My parents always taught me if you work hard you get rewarded. They never instilled my skin color as a disadvantage and I will forever be grateful for it. The Democratic Party told me I should blame my ethnicity for the difficulties in my life. That the true racism and hate come from white supremacy. They told me that the right was to blame for everything. But when I look back in my life and did my own research, I definitely knew this was not true. I experienced more hate from my own skin than any white individual for not being Latino enough. I have had attempts at my life 3 times, one being thrown into a bush while I lay motionless lest of dying until I was found. I went from making less than $30K to $70K in a year from hard work. I could have let my life's upbringings make me a statistic. I didn't. I could have made an excuse to blame someone else if I allowed to cave into the belief the Democrats tried to force upon me. I didn't. They have never cared for me or my people. Living in California has shown me this. I did not become a statistic because my parents gave up their life to create a new one for me to do better. Although I lost friends due to me expressing my views, I'd rather be truthful than living a lie. Hoping to meet more Latinos and others to conversate with. Thank you.
Reading a post from Jacqueline Castillo, a new member of the Walkaway Campaign group page on Facebook. Hello to everyone reading this. This is a long one to read, but I feel context is important. As I write, I'm hesitant to post, but I believe it was time to tell the truth on what has been weighing on my mind in the last few weeks. I am a proud Hispanic woman who comes from 2 wonderful immigrant parents who traveled to this land in the search of a better life for themselves and their children. The majority of my existence growing up, I identified as a Democrat. I was taught for the most of my upbringing to believe that the opposing opinions from anyone on the opposite side were all racist, sexist, and bigoted. I never once questioned it and bought the lies that were being sold to me. I carried this malice with me for the majority of my adult life until my early 20s. It wasn't until the pandemic that, with all the free time I had, I started researching politics and the history of both parties. I fell down a rabbit hole of information that helped educate me on how badly I had misjudged those on the right. I realized as I started investigating I actually aligned more with the values conservatives hold firm, like education, faith, industry, and family. As I started waking up, I unsubscribed from the toxicity of that party's beliefs. I have tried civil discourse with any peers who differ in ideologies with no avail. It has been disheartening to see how quickly an opposing opinion can deteriorate lifelong relationships, but I have no regrets. Although it hasn't been an easy journey leaving the left, it sure as hell has been worth it. What I comprehend now is that America is a great country that doesn't care if you're poor, rich, black, white, or anything else in between. All that matters here is how hard you're willing to work every day, and that is what you will reap in return. What is pertinent is not the melanin of your skin, but the content of your moral character. I don't quite know yet if I would label myself as a conservative, Republican, or an independent, but what I do know is I am finally free. I am happily part of the Walkaway family.
Reading a post from Josh Hilton on Walkaway Campaign group page on Facebook. Well, here it goes. This is why I walk away. Growing up in Oregon, I was always a blue voter. I saw blue and I deemed red as evil. The red was greedy, selfish, and the awful party. I voted for Obama in 2012 when I was first old enough to vote. In 2016, I voted Hillary just to stop what was possible. I just couldn't stand Trump, what he said, things he did, and I was essentially brainwashed by the media narrative. I laughed at the media press conferences and didn't take a single thing that Trump said seriously. Why did I walk away? I woke up. I started to see the power-grabbing, double-standard style that showed itself from the left. You can't protest a lockdown, but you can protest BLM. You have to wear a mask, or else they wish you dead. You have to keep your community safe, unless it's Chaz Chop, then it's a Summer of Love block party. You have to get on your knees and denounce your white privilege, or else you're a racist bigot. You have to do something different because someone gets triggered or offended. I started to watch Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk, and Candace Owens. The more I listened, the more it made sense to me. Black Lives Matter was never about all black lives. It was about superiority in only certain lives. It wasn't about fighting for David Dorn. Fight for 15 was never about a living wage for Americans. It was to strike down capitalism and reward those for not trying to better themselves. I'm not buying in the left ideas anymore. I'm not buying the social justice warriors that denounce America as the worst country in the world. I'm not bowing down to your authority just because you want people to do what you want and never question. I'm taking a stand to walk away and do what's best for our people and our country. Now that I'm here, I'm so much happier, and I'm glad I'm not alone. The past does not define you, but only your actions today will determine you. I'll be voting red this year and I won't be apologizing for it.
This is the testimony of Raza Fernier, posted on Walkaway Campaign Group page on Facebook. I woke up to a nightmare where the Marxist culture that dominated my college had taken over the nation. Overnight I woke up to something worse than a zombie apocalypse, where my closest friends greeted me with hate and unfriending after I posted a call to unite for a solution and criticized the riots, killing and destruction. I can't accept this new world where chaos reigns and hatefulness and bullying dominate social media, where amidst the uprising, police are not being fortified but being disbanded. I've been one to avoid politics, but I can't ignore it anymore, not in this climate. I learned self-loathing in America hating as a student at University of Hawaii at Manoa. I filled up on the humble pudding white college professors fed me even as they lectured against cultural appropriation while teaching barefoot and inked in tribal tattoos, and throwing out an awkward Hawaiian pidgin phrase now and then to sound hip. Day after day, lecture after lecture, year after year, the propaganda slowly corroded my defenses. The professors each had their own personality cults that students fully bought into. Any dissenting view was quickly silenced. We were taught to hate white people and America 911 was glorified as beautiful. But then I went traveling and saw the true meaning of abject poverty. I saw the cardboard slums in Mumbai, and groups of young orphans in threadbare clothes taking thrashings from police rods in the day and sleeping on the streets of Kathmandu, literally laying in the gutter in the road. I visited a riverside in Burma that had recently run red when a group of Buddhist monks were massacred, and the site of the Tuol Sleng genocide in Cambodia where adolescents were plied with drugs and forced to kill members of their own families and their former neighbors and school teachers. I also visited South Africa where there was danger at every turn, either from extreme racism or desperate poverty, where we were told not to stop our car at a red light, but to drive right through or risk being robbed or kidnapped. I've been to some of America's roughest areas too, but it's nothing as utterly hopeless as what I had witnessed in those countries. I returned to America a bit shell-shocked and profoundly grateful for the government system we have. When the Hispanic immigration enforcement officer gave me a hearty welcome home, when I returned via California, I literally bent down and kissed the glorious earth I was standing on. I will never again take what we have had for granted. The aggressive SJW activism and socialist mentality that dominates college thinking comes from complacency that only sheltered, privileged, self-righteous, ivory tower intellectuals have the luxury of indulging in. For my thesis, I explored identity. I discovered something that helps me understand the right versus the left. If someone asks me who I am, I can create a short story about myself by choosing the various points in my life that are meaningful to me. I can connect all the points where I have suffered and felt less than. I can talk about being abused as a kid, growing up in a trailer park, being a single teenage mom of 2 kids, living off of welfare, having a dad who spent his life in jail, having family members who commit suicide. I can go on and on about my struggles and misery, make victimhood my life story and reap more of the same. Or, I can connect all of the points where I have surpassed incredible obstacles and find incredible gratitude and pride in who I am and what I have accomplished. I raised 2 children as a single mother and I managed to get a master's degree by sheer determination and perseverance. I have chosen to connect the best parts of my life with daily gratitude. But right now, my fortitude is crumbling. I'm so nervous for this great nation that we have. It's amazing it was ever created, that those men came together at that moment in history and wrote up a constitution that gave us a government unlike anything else that exists in this world. We're so lucky for this treasure of American democracy. I am literally praying for our nation. There's nothing else like it, and once it's gone. So grateful for walkaway voices and photos, hundreds of thousands beams of light in the darkness.
Reading a post from Donald Lewis on the Walkaway Campaign Group page on Facebook. Hello from Minneapolis. Been a Democrat since I was born pretty much. I even cried when Hillary lost, but just can't take it anymore. I don't know where to begin but feel as if everything has turned upside down. It started with the pandemic. Our governor using science to lock us down forever with such a disdain for our civil rights or liberties, or mental health. Then our city council, mayor and governor during the protests and rioting in my city. Minneapolis is a beautiful place. It is so sad to see what has happened to it under this leadership over the past few years. We live downtown and feel much more unsafe than when we first moved here. And now they want to defund the police here. Minneapolis can be beautiful again, but the leadership needs to change. My husband and I have found out that all of our friends are very liberal, not surprising when you are a gay couple, in one of the most liberal cities in the country. We have no voice anymore, and have lost many friends and family members, because we bring up the hypocrisy and poor leadership of our city council and Democratic elected officials. It feels as if we are alone in this city. If there are any other people in the Minneapolis area, please let me know. Thank you for this group.